to what is Degen Saturday, only to be eclipsed by Degen Sunday. But Degen Saturday is something in and of itself. So we're going. Hey, look at roadies here too. We got all kinds of. We have Degen Saturday with all kinds of guests and takes and different sports and all kinds of stuff coming in here. I think that Bobby is going to be coming a little later. I'm not sure. But we've got a lot to do today. First of all, we've got to get Rhodey's camera to, there he is.
What up?
So we got Rhodey. We got Rhodey in here. I think.
You hear me right?
Yeah, there he is.
Yep.
So we got, okay, so this is what we're going to go. This is what I'm going to be going over at some point. I got classic slate NFL, 3 showdown slates. And then there's MMA. Then there's whatchamacallit. Then there's NBA and NHL, which I'm not going to be around for later, but I may as well go over it while I'm here. I can't play college football DFS, but you're more than welcome to come and chime in. Do you play college football DFS, Rhodey?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Well, if anybody wants to come in and chime in about college football DFS, again, there's nothing off limits for Degen Saturday. I might actually throw in some horse racing sweats that's going on here. And all of this before I just kind of leave for the day. I'm going into the city at about 4 or so. We're going to Nobu. And I'll miss a lot of it, but I'll get to see at least the first game of the NFL. And I might get back in time for the second half of the snow game in Buffalo. And that's always a lot of fun. What are you doing? What are you playing today, by the way? You just play football, right, today?
Yeah, just kind of like a wildcat lineup, some 20 entries in the MME stuff, and then 20 in the 3-entry max, a small one.
And what's the wildcat? 333? That's how much that is?
333 one, yeah.
And what about and I think FanDuel, maybe tomorrow there's like a 250 that pays $1 million for first or something like that.
Yeah, I got some tickets for that, so I'll be in on that. There is a 555 monster for 100K to first. I might jump in on FanDuel right now.
Oh, for today's slate?
Yeah, for just Saturday only.
Oh, nice.
It's 100K to first, 555. It's usually on Sundays. The one they have on Sundays tomorrow is only 50K. Today's the 100K one. They kind of got it backwards, in my opinion, but
yeah,
FanDuel's all messed up, I think. So.
Well, FanDuel's always messed up. I don't know what they're doing over there. I was even gonna. There was some real low level freaking League of Legends slate that was gonna happen, but I think they either canceled it or they pushed it back or something like that. I freaking missed the 2-game soccer slate, the 2-day soccer slate. I'm such a fish. I totally forgot. So all that's left in soccer is going to be the finals tomorrow. Today was like the what they call the third place game. I wouldn't even imagine. I was gonna have to ask Chan if people even try like during the third place game. I'm just not sure. So I missed that. So I already feel like my DGen card has been kind of revoked because I actually missed something. So what is your plan of attack for today? Let's do the NFL, the classic shit, the classic stuff. You're playing 20 entries in MME. You're playing like, something 3 or so entries in like 3 max or maybe 1, and you're concentrating on 1 wildcat stuff. So I guess, thematically you have to get different, but you don't have to go freaking ballistic, right? Tell me what your approach is to today's slate. Tell me like if you did a lot of grouping, or tell me how you approach today's slate.
I mean, I just kind of get different with the build a little bit. I think it's a smaller 3-gamer. So like I'm kind of getting more on this Baltimore Cleveland, like this game, it's supposed to be lower total. It is a division game, which is usually lower, but like their ownership on some of these guys aren't going to be that great. Like Dobbins is coming in only 10%. I like him today in that game. Like Donovan Peoples-Jones is getting a lot of work with Watson now. Like he fits that same role that like Will Fuller fit when he played for Houston, kind of Like,
Mhm.
so like DPJ seems to be fitting really well with Watson. He might go under the radar. So I'm just trying to find some sneaky guys to kind of mix in with, like, Justin Jefferson's going to be owned. I like, you can get Chubb and Jonathan Taylor and Delvin Cook, grab a good running back, all three good running backs, and then play some of these like weird plays, and like Alec Pierce in the Indiana Colts game. I like, so just I'm kind of mixing and matching some of these weird plays with still really strong plays. So that's kind of my
Well,
plan.
let me ask you about a couple of guys from the Colts game in a second, but I'll let you guys know what my approach was to today's slate, exactly how I'm doing it. So I'm multi-entering. Oh, here's Bobby. Um, so I'm multi-entering the classic slate, and what I did, and I said I was going to do this before, is I literally forced in like at least 25% Cleveland. Okay. No matter how many times you run optimals or whatever, they don't want you to play it, but I really just don't care. I actually this is what I did. I used SaberSim and I used it to kind of to augment my own take. So what I did was I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lock in Deshaun Watson and I locked in Deshaun Watson, Peoples Jones and Cooper, right? And then said, okay, build me 10 lineups with that. Okay. Then I said, okay, now I want to lock in Watson with Cooper with Njoku, build me 10 lineups with that. Then I want to lock in Watson with Peoples Jones and Njoku, lock me in 10 lineups with that, and then give me all three receivers and lock in 10 lineups with that. All right. So that was like 40 lineups right there. And then I started like just becoming normal, right? then I started to see what else I could get. And when I went with the normal stuff, it really wanted me to play just like all the Minnesota. Okay, I had to kind of like force myself off of a little bit of it. So that's what I'm ending up with is a good amount of Cleveland, a good amount of Minnesota. I forced myself because I really respect Bobby's opinion about the Baltimore side. So I gave myself more Baltimore than the numbers would have given me as well. So basically, I have more of that whole game than I would have as well. I'm just under on the Buffalo Miami game. I'm just under on on most everything else because you can't be over on everything, right? I'm over on Cleveland. I'm over on Baltimore. I'm probably still over on Mini, and then the rest I'm just kind of just under because nothing else happened. Let me ask you about this. It's a stupid position, but did you do anything with any of the tight ends from the Colts?
No, I haven't got to the Colts tight ends.
Okay. Okay.
So Sheets, we're kind of on the same page with that Cleveland Baltimore game because
Yep.
I got a lot of Watson. I even got some Huntley stacks. So like,
Yep.
I like Dobbins. I like Andrews as run back to my Watson. I like Peoples Jones. I like Njoku.
Yep.
A little bit sprinkled in, and I like getting a little Amari Cooper. I am seeing some weather though for this Baltimore game that the snow might be through by the game start time. So, that kind of worries me a little bit. I might want to, maybe I'll hedge and put my Wildcat lineup at Josh Allen, but like I'm very heavy Baltimore, Cleveland. So
yeah, I'm in there. I mean, you and I we're on the same page there. Did you do anything like off the wall? Did you play any like Ashton Doolin, or did you play any Deshaun Jackson or anything like that? Or you just went with kind of the normal guys?
I went with the kind of the normal guys. I might throw a couple of them in a few builds though. So
Right.
I haven't finished all my lineups yet. So.
Yeah, well, obviously. And so you're into the Dobbins thing, and I'm similar. When you run like optimals and SaberSim and stuff, sometimes you get like these lineups with like Gus Edwards and like all this stuff. I don't know. I'm just not into those kind of plays today. You know what I mean? Like I might get to some in Showdown just because you have to be just a freaking psycho with your lineups in Showdown. But as far as like the classic stuff, I don't really have much of any of Edwards, or even that much of any of Doolin. So I don't know. It's maybe we have a shot. I think you and I are really rooting for very similar stuff in the classic stuff. The Buffalo game is interesting because again, we've talked about this before. Just because it's snow doesn't, on the one hand, it doesn't make that much of a difference. because remember that as hard as it is for the wide receivers to plant their feet, it's even harder for the defenders to plant theirs. So you can get some stuff going on, but I will say this: that if it's like 9 inches of snow during the game, like that's kind of it's. I don't care what anybody says; it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to do all that much. I'm kind of happy. I'll play it like I like to call them the big T lineups. Just put up a number and let everybody come and get me. You know what I mean? Like and if they can really put up like all these points in Buffalo in the snow, if I've got a good number, I'll be more than happy to let it beat me. Um, and yeah, but the other thing I did do, by the way, I actually had to force in, not to be hypocritical, I forced in a little bit of Tua and Miami stuff only because I was getting like zero. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to have zero. I mean, they still are, they still have. There's a rumor that there's still a potent offense somewhere. You know what I mean? Somewhere in their skill sets. So I do have more of that than the numbers would have got me. But still, I mean, the fact is that Minnesota's got the weather. Minnesota's got the good weather. And it is a big deal when you're facing against only a 3-game slate and the other 2 might be fishy. I really like the Baltimore Cleveland that we both have our eyes on, and then I'm just probably going to be chalky with Minnesota. What are you doing running back wise? You doing anything fancy over there? Because I'm not.
I'm not doing too much fancy. I mean, I even like some of the higher spend guys.
Yep.
I think Jeff Wilson got ruled out, so like Mostert's getting a lot of love right now.
Oh, I would imagine so.
He jumped up to like 42% owned.
Yeah, it might even be higher.
But yeah, I'm not going too fancy. Like I don't really like the Buffalo backfield. I might have some Singletary, but like James Cook and like Hines is in there. Like I don't know. It's just a weird backfield to target. I did do a weird one with Drake and Dobbins. Like maybe they both get a touchdown, and feed some goal line carries or something. I like that game. So I did some. I like do like Pollard and Elliott. I've done double. I like Drake and Dobbins. And just in a couple, just to be really weird. Like we've seen AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones help out Millie Maker lineups on a 3-game Saturday last year or 2 years ago,
right?
When they both had a good game. So it's just weird stuff like that.
I think that's the one thing I'm gonna have to get myself more of, and that is more Drake. I didn't really play any of him to start off with.
Why would you play any Drake? I'm just jumping in. I haven't.
Oh yeah, we got Edwards back too. Yeah.
I don't think Kenyon Drake is even somewhat viable.
Okay, fine. I feel better. Hey, what's up, Bobby? I didn't even see. I don't see you, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's not. It's just a voice only.
Oh, okay, cool. As long as I know you, you're there. Okay, cool. So I don't know if you heard our summary. Are you sort of similar to us? I mean, we're both of us are over on this Baltimore game, and I gave you credit for the Baltimore part of it for me. Like I was always going to be like on Cleveland, and you talked me into the Baltimore side too. May as well, right? So
yeah.
So we're both pretty over on the Baltimore Cleveland game, and I'm over also on Minnesota, and not can't play everybody, so I ended up just fading for the most part the Miami game and in Indianapolis. Where are you and what are you doing today? You playing like a bunch of lineups? You playing like just a couple? What are you up to?
I'm playing a few in like a few of the 150s. I'm playing one in the 333, and then I've got like 15, I think, other lineups.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. As I have to get going in a little bit, but I'm with you guys on being over in that game. Unfortunately, I think everyone's going to do that because of this weather situation.
Maybe.
And I actually think the most under-owned game is, based on what, expected results and everything, is probably going to be Buffalo. I don't think that this ownership is accurate currently. I don't think people are factoring it in enough. I think that game as a target is actually, like, while it's still going to be popular, obviously, I just don't think it's going to be nearly as popular as it probably should be. So I would be actually jamming that game in with the other, the only way I could try to get different in terms of being under is to be significantly under on the Minnesota side of things outside of Dalvin Cook. And just basically not play the Minnesota passing game that much, because that's my way of getting different today. But because it is really hard on a 3-game slate. And I still feel just like this Buffalo Miami game outside of, I think, well, if Wilson is in fact out, is that official, Rhodey, by the way, that Wilson's out?
The projections don't have them. I seen something on it this morning, but like my Twitter does not have that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering about that one, because if we really think that's even close to possible, I mean, it just means Mostert is going to be like 80% owned, which seems reasonable, actually.
Yeah, but the thing is that when is that going to be announced? I mean, you have, Jonathan Taylor and Dalvin Cook are both really good plays to start off the day, So,
right, but I think people are going to just play it in their flex then automatically.
Okay.
So I think going double tight end in like flex is something interesting to do today, because people, I think, are going to end up doing that, because I think Taylor and Cook are going to be so crazy popular. Maybe you play Mostert with one of those guys instead. That's something you could do. I'm leaving some money on the table and playing some cheaper wide receivers today, like Sherfield and McKenzie. KJ Osborne is the one receiver from Minnesota that I'll be overweight on. Ashton Dillon, I'm taking some chances on, which feels really thin, but I'm willing to gamble on a 3-game slate when everyone's going to play Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell. So trying to make moves like that. But in general, I do like the Baltimore-Cleveland thing. Like you guys said, that's probably the smartest, simple thing to do, is to get overweight. I just think with all this talk and the way everyone's acting, that everyone's just going to jump a little bit more off the Buffalo game. They'll play like one part of each side rather than stacking it. And I think that's I don't believe that's right, just because there's some snow. They could still. We've seen Buffalo put up. Josh Allen has put up 40 in snowstorms before.
The only problem I have, not the only problem, but one thing I talked about earlier is this one thing to be snow and another thing to be really a lot of snow. But that's not what I'm worried about. I'm actually more worried about the fact that Buffalo offense has not been that good.
That's true.
Nor has Miami. So I would be more concerned about that really than the snow piece. I have a screwed up build. If you want to try, you didn't like if the double tight end build wasn't different enough. How about a lineup I have with double tight end, both tight ends from Baltimore? How about a likely Andrews lineup together?
Yeah, I actually think that makes some sense. I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
And the other one I was bringing up with Rhodey, and I don't know why I spent way too much time on this one point. Probably because I was doing Showdown. Did you give any thought at all to the Colts tight ends, or you just said who cares? I'm going to play the better plays.
Not especially. No, I didn't play any of the Colts tight ends.
Okay.
But I also I came across something that I thought was kind of interesting. The other thing I'm doing to get a little bit off is playing some Madison and playing some Kareem Hunt.
I tried to not try to play Madison. Like I was getting Madison no matter what I did to not get it. And maybe I should listen. Maybe I should get some of that. The Madison play, I don't know. Maybe you talked me into getting some of it now. It's possible.
Like it's a little, it feels a little thin, but like, I don't think you're doing it with Cook, but he gets enough work to where, like, it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like we're talking about a guy who gets no work or anything. You know what I mean? Like, he had a touchdown 2 weeks ago. It's not as much work as he's had sometimes in the past, and he had a lot more work early in the season. But I just think it's good to try to take weird gambles on these slates, because it's really hard to get different.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rhodey, did you get to any of the weird ones, Madison or Kareem Hunt?
No, I'm not done building. I might throw a few Kareem Hunt in because I like that play. But like I don't have any Madison, no. I do like a little Dalvin Cook though. Jonathan Taylor, Chubbs. I like spending up a little bit. It's kind of, but playing those cheaper receivers like you talked about, kind of. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the ownership is going to be low on Chubb, which makes him interesting.
I think you guys might be talking me more in this Buffalo Miami game though.
Blame Bobby on that one. I'm not talking.
I know me and you are on the same page already from the start, but like people are telling me that I'm reading some weather reports now. Like it might snow Biggest chance if it will snow during the games if it gets the lake effect, which it might not even get the lake effect now. And then it's actually better. Snow's better than rain, obviously. So it should, Bobby said, you can put up 40 points in the snow even. So if it doesn't get all that 9 inches that you were talking about, Sheets, it could be a viable game, and I might even want to get a 2 stack in there. So
also, there's not much wind. Like it's not.
Yeah, the wind's 5 to 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another point there. So they should be able to still throw the ball fine. So we shouldn't be just going to the running back.
I'll just reiterate my
Sheets
point.
is out on it.
Yeah, I'm out. But you know what? It's in a weird way. I kind of wish that there's no snow because I'd want to fade the game anyway.
No, it's still a good approach. I think it's still a good approach because
I hear you, Sheets. I hear you.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, you might be losing. Like it might be worse for you in a way because
that's what I'm saying.
Now everybody else is doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
I just have a feeling that game ends up hitting. Like, I don't know.
I've been fading 2 a lot this year, Bobby. He's been killing me some of these weeks.
Well, the last couple weeks,
yeah, that 1 week.
Yeah, no, he goes nuts every week.
Boy, everybody's sick.
Yeah, it's been that weird thing that just sort of comes and goes. You know what I mean? It's not like that bad. It's just sorry about that. Oops, I clicked on the wrong button. Yeah, it just like comes and goes. I have like a little bit of a cough thing, and every morning when I wake up, and then it's a little dry, and then it clears up. What else you got going today, Sheets, other than football?
We got everything going today, man. This is most important. We have I have Nobu in the city a little bit later.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
That's a good time. I'm really disappointed I didn't win the big one last night.
Yeah, I was sweating that a little bit. I didn't think you were going to win, but
well, no, but I almost made the move that it was done. I talked about it. I said I might just play Duran over Okongwu in that lineup.
You know what? When I saw the Duran thing, I thought that you had. I thought you did that.
I played 30% of Duran. I just didn't play him in one of the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to hear?
And Kaminsky, by the way, I had 30% Duran, 30% Kaminsky.
So you want to hear a cool sheet?
So it almost got there.
So here's a cool sheet story. A good Nobu story. So when we got engaged 400 years ago, right? I took my wife to Nobu in downtown, and back in those days there was like payphones, and stuff like that. So I brought the ring with me, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to ask permission, right? For her parents. So I went to the payphone. I asked permission. I don't even remember what they said. I just hung up on them, right? And then I went, and after I was nervous the whole time, more nervous that I would lose the freaking ring at the table, than anything else. Mm-hmm. In any case, so after dessert came, for a check came, I got on one knee. I asked her to marry me in front of the whole restaurant. She said yes. And then they brought the check, and my credit card got declined. Okay. and she's looking at me. I'm like, sorry, you already said yes. I don't know what to tell you. She must have been like, what the hell did I get myself into? So she actually had to take out her credit card and pay for dinner, like in the night that we got engaged. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So we always go back at least once a year, and there's that little doubt in my head whenever I get my credit card, just in case. You just never know. So that is the Sheets Nobu story.
Oh, that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a really bad Nobu story?
Yeah. Oh, I've heard this story, but go for it.
That's a rough one. It's literally only worth about $1 billion or maybe a little more. But he was he was the sushi chef at my grandfather's favorite sushi restaurant back in the day in LA. Just a sushi chef, not before he was starting about talking about doing this whole restaurant chain thing, and my grandfather thought about it, really liked him, but decided to say no. Instead, they got Robert De Niro, I think, and it's worth over $1 billion. Whatever that portion would have been worth over $1 billion or something like that.
Right.
But they're still good friends and everything. But man, can you believe that one? That was just like,
yeah.
My grandfather's like always been really good about business investments and everything, and just that was one he could never get back. And it was for like nothing amount of money too. It was like for like $10,000.
Yep. So I was gonna do this, and listen, I want to talk about the other sports because even though I'm not going to be around for it, I did do the projections. And I did promise I would go over them. But maybe one day we'll figure out how to do this. I had this delusion of everybody that was in this chat. I would give them a free roll in something, and it was going to be a kind of a cool free roll. But unfortunately, since I'm not going to be around to sweat it with everybody, it's going to be pretty stupid. So I was going to give everybody kind of a free roll in this, in like a pick six I was doing in horse racing. Okay. Where whoever was in the chat, I'd probably give like 30% of my action in this pick six away. But we have to figure out like who to give it to. Like it would have to be actually like a subscriber, right? It can't be just some guy to show up, right? So one of these days you have to figure out how to do this. And to give everybody like a piece of a pick six is kind of stupid if I'm not going to be around to kind of like walk everybody through it and like root every race. So not again, I hate to be an Indian giver, and say I was going to do something and not give it to them, whatever. But just because of like the environment, the way that I would rather sweat this, I'm going to put this one off. Then I had other ideas see, one of the things that I always try to do is try to think of how to make this like the Poker X Factor days. And one of the things that we did at Poker X Factor, we had a weekly or a monthly tournament, right? Where everybody got a chance to play and whoever won got some money and they knocked me out or Cliff out, they get extra. And I keep thinking of putting of us doing like a private true DFS, contest, like a DFS contest. And what I want to do is like put some like added money to it. And so I was thinking of kind of like over the course of the month, I do these little free rolls or something. And then however I do in these little free roll things, just add that to kind of like the kitty. And then maybe at the end of the month, we'll have like a decent amount of added money to give away on a DFS contest, whether it be a basketball or a football or whatever it is. I'm just trying to think of ways to do this. So I guess I baited and switched people. If people came for a free roll, I can't give it today because I'm just not going to be here. It's no fun. It's no fun for me to say, okay, you have a piece of this, then you have to wait for like 7 hours for me to Discord. Oh, by the way, we lost, or boy, by the way, we won. You know what I mean? If I'm going to do it, I'd want to be around and say, okay, dude, we're still in, we're sweating, and this, that, and the other thing. But we'll do something like this. But I got to figure out the best way to maybe if someone likes the YouTube video or something, or a subscriber, something like that, And I also I do welcome everybody's opinions on these live sweat shows because listen, when we started doing this, Bobby, my one comment about doing this whole project, this whole website is the only thing I want to do is like what's fun, right? That's the only thing I'm interested in. And all I will tell you is that I have so much fun doing those live sweat things and talking through the games and like all this stuff in the sweat. Like Rody, you weren't around, so we were doing this like maybe you were around Thursday, I forget, but we were going over. There was like nothing really going on. We were sweating everybody that was like these big GPPs, and then it looked like everybody was dead, and everybody was like Bobby was logging off, and I would say, okay, I'll see you guys later. And then I said, well, just before I go, let me just make sure I'm not cashing anything in FanDuel. And I pulled up FanDuel, and I was like on the bubble cashing in the Monster. So I'm like, okay, screw this. So I spent like another freaking hour and a half to like 1:45 in the morning or whatever, like sweating this with everybody. So I mean, I listen. I just really enjoy it, and it's funny. Like by the end of it, like there were like it must have been like 3 or 4 people left. I grinded everybody freaking out, whatever. But I think that if we actually have a big sweat and something big, then maybe people will just kind of continue to get in there or something like that. And obviously, listen, if anybody is deep in something like today's classic slate or the Sunday class, I don't. If it's 10 p.m. tonight and I'm home or whatever it is, I will do an ad hoc. I will just fire up live and make sure that people come, whatever. And God forbid someone's live and something really good like Sunday, we'll fire it up. But I like the scheduled things on like the Thursdays. But then again, like we're getting towards the end of the season, so got to figure out a better way to do it. Because I do like the bigger NBA slates, right? And this past week it was a kind of a short NBA slate, so not as many people were interested. Maybe what we should also do? Maybe we should do something we thought about. Remember when we pulled up the lobbies of the NBA slate? we're like, well, let's just figure out, let's guess who's going to win. Maybe we do like side pool, like we can like bet on who's going to actually win. You know, like we'll see like what the lobby looks like, and we'll see like who we'll have like a little pool, like see who's going to win who's going to win the contest or something like that.
Yeah,
Just,
that's
I don't
kind
know,
of fun.
just things to make it different. I don't know. As far as just so you guys know, I am playing, and I always do this on these stupid 3-game slates. I play everything. Like I play this classic and I play all 3 showdowns. So I just wanted to at least let people know what I'm doing in the showdown. My highest owned captain in the Minnesota-Indianapolis game is actually close between Pittman and TJ Hawkinson. Jefferson is just not going to make it. He's just going to be, it's too obvious or whatever it is. So for me, it's going to be Pittman and Hawkinson as the 2 ISO captains. And I guess one of the reasons why I spent a lot of time on these tight ends is they were both really cheap in the showdown on Indianapolis, both Granson and Jelani Woods. And actually, Granson was cheaper than Jelani Woods. So I definitely played some of them. But those are my highest owned captains would be Jefferson and Pittman. I don't suppose either you're playing showdown today, right?
No.
Okay.
But I agree with what you said. I really think that the best way to get, like I said on this slate, to get different is I have no idea why I just think that the ownership on the receivers for Minnesota are way too high. I like it's a terrible matchup for all of them.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's just because it's like people think it's cool to play them. Like I don't have one lineup with Adam Thielen. I like the idea of fading those guys if I was doing showdown.
And just so you guys know, right? I mean, I'm going to change these, but I'm playing the Browns showdown. So right now, if I had to identify who the top captain was that I had in the Cleveland game, it's going to be Andrews for Baltimore. And then it's kind of spread around. You guys have any opinion on who's going to win these games?
Yeah, I like the Colts. Well, I like them plus 3.5. I don't know if I guarantee they win, but I like them plus 3.5. I like the Ravens and to win outright, and I like the Dolphins to cover and the Bills to win.
Who do you like today, Rody?
I like Cleveland. I do think Minnesota's going to bounce back because they want to win the division, so they're going to want to win some games. I like them today, and I like Buffalo. So that's kind of what I got.
Yeah, we're on the same side of the Buffalo the Cleveland game and the Minnesota game. I do like both favorites over there. Me and Rody are on the same side over there. And in the Buffalo game, I mean, this is kind of obvious, but like if we know it's going to get 9 inches of snow, we're definitely betting the over. That's the only thing that I know about that game. I don't know who I would like in the actual game. I guess it would have to be Miami, right? Especially if it was snowing, right? How the hell is Miami 2 and all these people going to come up from Miami and play in the snow? They're going to get rolled. So it's going to be some combination of Miami and the over, if in fact you get the snow.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what I'd play anyway. So I guess Miami. If there's no snow, I'm not going to bet the over. So if it's no snow, I might just play Miami. But if there is snow, it would be Miami and the over. Okay, that's easy. And by the way, obviously, if Jeff Wilson is out, not obvious. Actually, I shouldn't say obviously at all. But my top owned captain, like right now, because I pre-built these lineups at least, and I'll do them again before I leave. Is actually Mostert is my highest owned captain in that game. It seems a little bit too obvious now. You know what I mean? Especially if Jeff Wilson is out and they're getting snow, right? If that's the case, then it's got to be like almost 50%. I would say 50% captain would be Josh Allen, right? Because of the rushing. Maybe 50%. Can't be 50% Mostert because they're not the favorite, but whatever. But Mostert will be a pretty high owned captain. And then I imagine that something like the Bills, right? I mean, people have to play the Bills in a situation like this. So that's my preliminary looks on pretty much all. Are you going to be around? Are you going to be screwing around with late swap and stuff like that? Either of you?
I'll always take a look at every break
Yeah.
when they're scheduled like this, but
Okay.
don't have a ton of lineups, so it's not going to be a huge focus for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to a Christmas party all afternoon. I'm gonna be in zero service area, so I'm gonna be able
Oh
to
my
check
God.
and edit stuff. But yeah, it's
Who's
my service.
whose Christmas party? Yours, your wife's, or somebody else?
It's my mom's side family, so it's in the sticks up north. So we're going up north in the sticks.
You sound excited.
Yeah, it's tough.
So listen, I guess I have to shout this out. You know, listen, you when you do content, I mean, and you listen to content, you watch content, you start to become familiar with all the personalities and like the people and stuff like that. And sometimes we, like getting Twitter fights and you yell at people, or sometimes you don't, and you get personal, all the stuff. So I do want to shout out to one guy who I mean, I was listening to this dude, whatever, and all the guy does is just grind content, and he loves it, and he's really honest and humble and all this stuff. And that's he works for Oslo. His name is Josh Engelman. Okay. And he's the hardest working man in show business. Okay. Really just a smart guy, just loves what he does. He tweeted today that his mom passed away, and he's going to be taking a little bit of a break to deal with that. And he actually put in his Twitter like this kind of like life care company that was kind of helping make his mom's life a little bit easier towards the end, asking for donations. And I actually just went on there and donated. I mean, I don't really know him too well personally, right? But just from being in the industry, every once in a while I'll tweet him back and forth. So I mean, it's I don't know, it touched me a little bit, you know what I mean? So I figured I would just throw that out there.
That's a nice thing to say. I'll check it out too. I'll definitely donate a little something.
Good. Oh, I mean, listen, there are guys with egos that you want to punch in the face in this business, right? And then there's other guys, and he's the other guy. Okay. Okay. NBA, if anybody plays today, I just wanted to let you guys know that I did put sheets up for now, but again, the combination of a big slate plus Saturday is just a recipe for just massive upheaval. But a little shout out to Mr. Bobby, who had an okay sweat, an okay lineup for a while, at least in the big one on DraftKings, and he
finished 9. It wasn't like a bad lineup.
No. What I'm saying is that he was one bit of execution of a take away from winning freaking everything, and it was like annoying because the best plays on the board were centers, right? So you were tough. You were stuck in a situation where you had a Kongwu and Naz Reid, but Bobby was pounding the table on freaking Duran for the whole freaking day, right? And they put you in this really, really tough spot, right? Where you want to do it. Right? Like you want to play the Duran, but which one do you throw out? Not to mention, well, you weren't as into the Christian Wood play as other people were, right?
And I honestly think that people who are doing victory laps on that one should probably take a look. And the game flow was really strange, and like they didn't play any of their other main players in the fourth quarter except for him because of the blowout. It was a weird way that he got there. It felt like.
Well, forget the victory lap, but wasn't even.
Yeah, I was not high on Wood.
Well, first of all, it wasn't even relevant to my point because he wasn't only center only eligible. You could have played him at power forward also.
Right.
I was just saying that it put you in a tough spot, and listen, in another world, you play the two of them together, and then you win the slate by 20 points. It's right. So it's
I did legitimately think about it, and part of the reason I thought about it too was that I was a little chalkier on the rest of my build than I wanted to be. It was one way to get different. I had a Kongwu and I had 2 big lineups. I could have used a Kongwu in just 1 instead of 2. I was going to play Reed no matter what in both of them. That was not even it was never an option to fade Reed to me. But a Kongwu certainly was an option. But then the other part that made it complicated was the Okongwu's path of failing means Frank Kaminsky goes off also. So it was really hard to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? So I just didn't quite get there. And then on top of it all, we get overtime in OKC, and this is all moot point because I win easily. And it was right there. It was right there for the taking, that overtime.
And the other thing, by the way, just listen. You warned me about this. Just always be careful when you're playing Poku. Because they don't like to close with him. And it would have been particularly annoying if it went to overtime, right? Because then you would have missed out on not only the last 4 minutes but the last 9 minutes, right? So be careful on that. I want to again shout out, not shout out to Bobby per se, but yeah, sort of shout out to Bobby. We talk about it with respect to baseball and everything, about whether there's streaks and whether it exists and whether there's momentum and stuff like that. And people sometimes think, well, no, streaks don't exist, hot hands don't exist, and all this stuff. And we talk about that with respect to us as DFS players, right? If you're like quote unquote running bad or like running hot, does one kind of like escalate on top of the other one? And I really believe that when you're winning, that begets more winning. And I thought about that with respect to poker, right? Because when your stuff works, then you end up making the right play and not having fear of stuff not working, right? And I believe that with DFS, and I totally see like Bobby's total game like turning around in the last like week or two. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of confidence, right? And a little bit of something good happening, and all of a sudden he's like seeing the board again. You know what I mean? And listen, so he didn't win 100,000 last night, whatever it is. But this is really important. About you learn about yourself and learn about life and stuff like that. That gaining confidence does matter. And Bobby specifically is in a very, very strong, state of DFS momentum right now. I'd be very, very. I would not be surprised at all if he freaking nailed something pretty soon.
I appreciate that. I do think it allows you to start also when you start making moves that work, like 2 nights ago playing Duran as my double center, because we actually had the same exact discussion with Duran the night before. And then pulling the trigger in my bigger buy, and even though I didn't end up I ended up profiting, but I didn't end up making any real money. But it was all because of playing Duran as one of my double center things. And I'm just, you're looking at it, and like last night I think he had a 7.5 rebound prop, which we were talking about. And we're going, okay, well, that means the projections are wrong, because this guy has started 4 games. He has more than 13 rebounds in all those games. He has the best matchup in basketball. How can we say that he's projected to get less than 8 rebounds here? And of course, he had 8 rebounds in the first quarter. You know what I mean? But you start feeling comfortable pulling the trigger on plays that are you get guys who are 10 times more owned because they're projected for 2 more fantasy points. It just doesn't make sense. And when you start falling in, when you start questioning yourself, you start falling for those plays rather than making the bold play. I think.
And then what happens is sometimes you make a play and then your guy gets injured. You're like, oh my God, and then the next day you'd like to make a play and you're just afraid the next guy's going to get injured. So listen, it's and we talk about community and all that stuff. And I think that it's really important that we all, I don't want to be all psychobabble about this stuff, but we support each other in this, because it's listen, gambling's sort of a lonely business. You know what I mean? Like if you're not like bouncing ideas off of people and commiserating and talking through all this stuff. And also, one of the reasons why I did this project is the same reason I did Poker X Factor with Cliff is when we first talked about doing Poker X Factor, we fought about this, and Cliff's like, dude, why do you want to teach people how to play? Right? Why do you want to do that? All you're going to do is like decrease your EV. I'm like, listen, I think you're being short-sighted, and forget that we'll probably make more, a lot of money doing it. The fact is that if you get used to teaching people how to do it and talking through it, my thesis was you'd actually be a better player yourself, right? And this goes back when I used to teach the bar exam for a living. Like I got really, really good scores when I was a student, but I would just have amazing success once I started teaching the thing, because you start learning how to teach other people how to do it. It kind of like makes it more simple. And I think that as we continue to do this, we get better at it also, so
I agree with that.
Yeah. So in any case, let's look at a question here. JJJ is asking, what defense are you guys playing? You probably know the answer based on if you've seen any of my stuff. I am not taking a big stand, and I don't care what money's left on the table. I almost want to have equal exposure to all of them. You want to know the truth? because like listen, Buffalo, Miami are probably like going to be like the sort of obvious defenses to play because of the weather. But I think ownership's going to be efficient no matter where you go. Everybody's affordable. I think that Minnesota's the most expensive, probably.
Yeah.
And even they're playable. Everybody's playable, but I wouldn't spend so much time like trying to come up with these cool takes on offense and tight ends getting that right, only to lose because you went 80% some defense. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would legitimately, like on a slate like this, I would almost make sure to have exactly equal. I mean, it seems like such a cop out, but I think that that's almost what you have to do.
Yeah, I like the Colts. They're the lowest. They're probably going to be the lowest owned, and they're the cheap. They're the second cheapest. And I like that. I always like taking shots against Cousins.
Yep. Slick says I got Indianapolis, Baltimore, and Buffalo, and we're not entering the same contest. Very good point. Excellent point. So if you're asking in a 3 max or if you're only playing one lineup, for example, who you playing? Yeah, I think I agree with Bobby there. I mean, if you're going to believe what I said, that most defenses are similar, I imagine Minnesota is going to be the highest owned offense. So may as well, unless you're playing the Minnesota offense, multi-stacking them, maybe Indianapolis is the way to go. But I will say that you can play defenses with offense today. I think that 3 games is plenty. I mean, it's plenty short enough where you can get away with that.
Yeah, it's funny. My biggest take of the day, if I had to bet just on one thing today, it would be just on the Ravens winning that game. I think that this is completely nonsense. Like, I mean, if Lamar Jackson's playing, they're favored by what, 4.5, 6, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fact that they win every week and that Cleveland has looked like the worst team in the history of football the last 2 weeks? They happen to get the weird lucky win with their defense scoring 3 touchdowns against Houston 2 weeks ago, but I don't know why Cleveland's favored here. Like, there's absolutely no logical reason to me.
I honestly think there's no edge in this line today. I think it's fair. You know what I mean? I don't particularly find it fishy one way or another. I mean, we're just
why is the better team not favored? I guess is the question. Significantly
because this is your standard division game where you have one team at home. The teams look about equal, and one team is about a 2-point favorite. I mean, I don't. I think that if you ask,
I guess that's my question. Is I just don't agree that. I guess that's my take. Is that they don't look equal. Like if Cleveland comes out like a totally different team today, I would say Cleveland looked like would be one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL the way they've looked the last couple of weeks.
Well, quite honestly, normally, and you know how I operate. If that were the case, I would just take Cleveland and just presume something was wrong with the line. But I do think that people naturally take the home team. They take, you know what I mean, and they don't want to bet on Baltimore without Lamar.
Right, I hear you. That's why I like that. Yes,
right.
Exactly
So what I think that really that if you polled 1,000 people what side they're betting this game, I probably think it's closer to 50-50. I don't think that there's an overwhelming.
Well, all I've heard all anybody's written in during the show and anybody's talked about is Cleveland, and Cleveland has looked like absolute trash. And Baltimore just wins every week, no matter what. So I don't know. I do think it is a flawed line. I think it is because of perception, and I don't care what the result is, as you know, Sheets. But like I like taking stands like that. You know what I mean? I like when something makes sense in my head that matches with what my eyes have seen. And if everybody's jumping one way, that's created to me what I still feel like is a fishy line. And I could be wrong. Cleveland may win by 3 touchdowns today. I just haven't seen them look like they could do anything at all.
Well, check this out. So you have, you're right. One place you can go to get a sense of that is covers.com. They give you like the consensus picks and stuff. But actually, it's not that many. But like in this contest, they have 74% are on Cleveland.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they were 74% were on -3. I can't imagine how many of them are on -2.5.
I know.
And then, I'm sorry. I apologize. That was the wrong. Wrong week.
Thing.
Wrong week. That's for next week. Actually, next week they have Cleveland 74% over whatchamacallit. Here it is. So today, actually, look at this. I'll pull this up actually. Hold on. Consensus picks. Hold on. Where is the live studio? Share screen, screen 2, share, and boom. Yeah. So today, that's like 1,500 picks. Actually, it's like literally dead even. Cleveland's 51%. Then you say, wow, Minnesota is a 71% consensus. That's 70% of people against the spread are taking Minnesota minus the 3.5, and about 56% are taking Buffalo. The Minnesota thing sort of makes sense because not everybody is as down on Minnesota as you've been. You know what I mean? So people still think that Minnesota is good because of their record.
Yeah, Vegas doesn't.
No, they don't. And this is
Yeah.
one of those. This is one of those things where, oh my God, it's only 3.5, and you know what I mean. This would be like my sucker bet. Like I would probably be jumping on Minnesota also and feel like a complete square doing it. You know what I mean? Like I do think that the sharp side is Indianapolis. And so this is a good place to go, covers.com, and you look at consensus, and it gives you like the full consensus of if you're that type of person that wants to just take the consensus and go the opposite, that is one way you could play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I always find it interesting what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
I would have guessed that more people were on Miami. I'm sorry, were on Cleveland today than the number that actually are.
Yeah. What else? So again, just to reiterate, so basketball sheets are up. I'll do one more update before I leave, which is going to be about 3:00, and there won't be any updates since then. So I imagine that you can consider that my contribution to today's NBA slate will be next to zero because so much is going to change after I post. But I'll post it anyway. And if you are going to play NBA, just be a SaberSim subscriber, and you'll be able to get the updated stuff there. As I presume you're not going to be around to look at the NBA slate later.
Yeah, I've got to get it headed out. It's pretty soon.
Yeah. And NHL, same thing. I'll put sheets up, but even though the injury news is not as important in the NHL, I wouldn't do it. And MMA, if anybody has any questions about it, go for it. It's really a shame that the last slate of the season they had to cut the guarantee. It just shows. I mean, like when they made that late swap change, it just killed so much momentum they had. And hopefully
why don't they just switch it back?
They might. So hopefully, we'll see what happens.
I've never seen that.
And you like to think that money talks, right? So if they're getting less entries with the new system, why don't you go back to the old one? Whatever.
Right.
So Slick says Matt Ryan 3-1 versus Cousins. If you like trends, no, that's not particularly relevant to me. Real life Baltimore, maybe not fantasy. Okay, maybe. So I will be playing again all the showdowns. I will probably I'm going to put up one set of maybe revised sheets just because I'll be here anyway before I leave. And then I'll probably be gone for the night. Tomorrow I will be around for live. You'll be here. Will you be here too, Rody, at 11?
Possible, but most likely not.
Okay.
It'll be dicey.
Okay. And you'll be here tomorrow, right, Bob?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. Any other questions in here before I kind of get rolling? Okay, I guess not. Anything else from either of you guys?
No, I think we're good. Good luck today, guys. I hope it's a fun one.
$1 million, man. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Good luck to everybody.
All right, later.